Marrakech, the Red City, vibrant, enchanting, beguiling, holder of ancient secrets, future promises, and COP22 host. COP22 was billed as the Action COP and followed the swift entry into force of the Paris Agreement. The hope was that the spirit of Paris would permeate the negotiations. This meeting was supposed to be about getting down to business, to work out the technical details of the Paris Agreement rulebook with a 2018 deadline in mind.
So this first COP after the Paris Agreement is actually coming with a lot of strength after all the quick ratification that we actually have. So parties are starting to work around those details that would help to implement all the elements, including loss and damage, adaptation, finance, and mitigation actions. This COP has been much more technical and methodological, which sometimes seems to be not as important, but is crucial if we actually want to get all those elements to be well implemented in the future.
So the last 2 weeks to me has been quite hectic, of course, but successful in terms of the objectives of the APA, the ad hoc working group, which has been put in place to unlock the implementation of the Paris Agreement.
So while there has been some progress on the technical areas and the rule book on how to implement Paris, the real stumbling block has been on finance. Developing countries are hearing from rich countries that there's no money for them to cope with the impacts of climate change or to do mitigation action themselves. They're really just hearing that when it comes to money, you're on your own.
COP22 rode on the momentum from Paris, despite the uncertainty created by the US election outcome. However, during the closing plenary on Friday, developing countries expressed concern that this momentum was for post-2020 action on climate change as opposed to pre-2020 action, which requires industrialized nations to take the lead.
Well, you've sort of had two different COPs happening here. You've had a COP that reacted to the election of Donald Trump as president, where leader after leader, minister after minister, cities, states, and businesses all said that they intended to move forward to strengthen and implement Paris. They would prefer the US to stay in, but if the US pulls out under the Trump administration, they will go on. So that was one level of the conversation. Then, of course, you had the actual agenda for this meeting, which was agreeing on a process to implement the rules for the Paris Agreement on things like transparency and land use accounting. You had an agreement on how to move towards the facilitative dialogue in 2018, which is supposed to be the next big political moment where countries agree on strategies to increase ambition. You had agreement on the adaptation fund that's under the Kyoto Protocol and bringing that under the Paris Agreement. So you had all the normal COP business, and then of course the other subsidiary bodies, SBI and SBSTA, that did a lot of work last week on mostly technical issues. So you really had two different COPs going on here, a very high-level political COP where the world made clear they would go ahead with or without the US, and the normal business COP where they had to get their agenda done, their work done, and get ready for the next year.